Now to go further in depth, we turn to former official in the United States Trade Representative Office, Steve Gill. Thanks for joining us, Steve, from Nashville.
Thank you.
Okay, big question. Can we actually trust the Chinese?
I think, like Ronald Reagan used to say, trust but verify, and I think the whole soybean business that Sarah was just talking about underlines that. Both sides are talking about doing a deal, but so far we aren't even to the check is in the mail stage yet. So until container loads of soybeans start heading to China and payments start being made here, I agree with Sarah. Let's just take a deep breath and wait just a few moments to see what actually happens.
Well, that's interesting because China's moved to grant more access to foreign companies and repeal and modify this 2025 plan. Will it actually help if it goes through?
Well, I think taking away that trade barrier that they were putting in place, and it wasn't just tariffs or taxes on U.S. products and goods and services going into China, they were actually pushing for their countrymen to buy more of their own stuff and therefore sort of blocking others from coming in. Their willingness to back off of that is good news for the U.S. and other folks trying to sell things into that billion-person market in China. But at the end of the day, there are non-tariff or non-tax barriers that keep out U.S. products and other products around the world that we have to focus on as much as what the taxes are and what their protection sort of subsidiary efforts are to help their own countrymen in their own businesses against foreign competition.
Absolutely. Well, that foreign competition can be very important. It can help drive prices down or drive them up. So what actual industries will this affect here in the United States? What workers will be affected if we are able to get this 2025 plan repealed?
Well, I think we want to look at the high-tech industries where American ingenuity, American creativity is going to be given access, or at least more access, to the Chinese market. Those are the higher dollar volume profitable products that we want to be able to sell there. And then whether it's soybeans or whether it's cattle or other agricultural products, we want to be able to ship more into China. And again, we get back to the whole beef industry, for example. There was a lot of belief that things were going to really open up in China a year ago when they were going to open their beef market to the U.S. But while they opened it on paper, we haven't seen beef going into China because of the non-tariff barriers, such as restricting the kinds of antibiotics that we can provide to our cattle here to keep them healthy. That bans them from going into China. So while on paper we can sell products, in reality we cannot and have not. I think we've got to stay focused on those details as we see if anything's really going to come in what we do with China.
Well, it's interesting you talk about reality, and then it starts to our first question is, can we actually trust China? There's a certain sector that says, you know what, this is just China trying to buy time. This gives them 6 years to come to figure out something else, obviously a different administration, a different president they're working with. But the fact that we're even at this point, at this stage, does this mean that Trump's negotiation style might actually be working if this is successful?
Well, I think you're seeing some of the media today report this as a big, even if only symbolic, win for the Trump administration at this point, as China is backing off the barriers that they have put up. But again, the devil's in the details. And just as President Trump prides himself on being a great negotiator, President Xi and the Chinese also see themselves as great negotiators. And this is going to be one of those deals, and I've seen it in practicing law in the past, where every day is another negotiation. Just because you reach a deal, just because you get a contract with the Chinese, and I think in this trade negotiation with the U.S., every day is going to be more negotiation.
Well, that's the thing. Every day it's also had an impact on our stocks, especially the diplomatic relationship with China. We saw even with the announcement of this, stocks went up with about a point within the hour. So I have to ask, should we not be a little concerned that another country's diplomatic relations can have this much of an impact on our markets like we've seen this week it happen?
Well, part of the thing that you're seeing in the stock market today is relief that what has been a trade war seems to be coming to an end. And so there's optimism that things are going to get better. And I think that's what's moving it more than what actual deals may be in place. Again, there aren't any actual soybeans being loaded or sold right now, but there is the anticipation that they will. And that's what's fueling, I think, some of this rebound in the stock market. It's that optimism that we're seeing more than anything else.
Well, I'm happy to finally see optimism in some form in our relationship with China. Thanks for joining us, Steve.
Thank you.
Hey, YouTube.